Thank you very, very much for coming out this morning. My name is Marlon Berry. I'm Superintendent of Schools here in Olathe, and I'm sorry that we are meeting for this purpose this morning. We're going to talk about this throughout the time we're together in terms of our plan, but it's terrible something like this has happened, but we are pointed forward. We are looking forward to opening back up Green Springs and educating the kids and finishing this school year, so it's going to be very, very positive. I think we know this every day. Unfortunately, sometimes it takes a tragedy to make us recognize that we live in a very, very caring community. And there are tons of people who have stepped up to help us with this situation. And there are a lot of people in this room this morning. We have the Chief of Police here this morning. Our Fire Chief is here this morning. Green Springs has adopted a fire station, and Captain Jack Holcomb is here. So a lot of kids and parents know Captain Jack as well. It's a relationship they've had. We have some Board of Education members here this morning. I want to point those people out to you because I appreciate their support so much as we're going through something like this. Our Board President, Dr. Debbie Daniels, is in the back of the room. Our Vice President, Harlan Parker, and Board members Linda Wilhelm and Amy Martin. And again, they're behind us all the way as we go through the planning and talk about reopening Green Springs to get school going again. Also with me, of course, Principal Brenda Traubert, who's been fantastic through all this, and you're going to hear from her. That's the purpose of this morning, is to have our principal talk to you as parents and talk about the plan to get going again. Also on stage, Dr. Aaron Dugan is Assistant Superintendent, who's been working and heading up most of the plans, and then also your counselor from Green Springs to talk as well. We also have police department people who are heading up the investigation, so if we might have questions, limited responses we could make, but Scott Russell is here from the police department to do some of that. Let me talk a little bit about what happened, and a lot of you know the story, but I'm going to go over it just very briefly. But Thursday morning at 6:03, the Olathe Fire Department responded to a fire alarm at Green Springs Elementary School. The fire started down in the 200s rooms. We are aware. Did I lose that? We are aware now that multiple people entered the school building through a back window, broke the window and came in. And actually in the circle, light green circle, you might be able to see room 200 in a storage room off of there is where the fire started. The fire doors worked exactly as they were supposed to. These are fire doors that shut off, keeping damage contained to just the south pod. And actually some of the areas of the south pod are still okay on 214, 13, and 12 and so forth, but the extensive damage is on the southwest corner of Green Springs. I say the fire doors worked because they closed, containing the damage, but smoke also went up through the ceiling and filtered through the rest of the building. So we've had extensive smoke go through the middle part of the building, and with smoke we get the soot and the need to clean everything. The very north end of the building received the least amount of damage in terms of the fire. So where are we right now? Well, the fire was hot enough in that one area that we have sustained some structural damage. The metal beam right above that area is sagging, and it twisted the roof a little bit. So we are looking, and we've already had a structural engineer on site, and so we know that there's some reconstruction that will have to take place. So the plan, as we've been working on, and Dr. Trauber's been working on ever since she found out Thursday morning, is how can we reopen Green Springs and what we're going to have to do. Right now, what's been taking place is professional cleaning, and so I know some of you thought, can we just get a lot of volunteers? Can we help? And again, the outpouring of help has been tremendous. But it has to be professionally done, obviously. Everything is being wiped down and cleaned professionally in that school. It's not just like, again, a bunch of volunteers, we could come in and do that. It's being taken care of professionally. We've already said our service center has been deeply involved with this project, has said this will be the cleanest school in the district. Imagine every classroom, every cupboard, cabinet, everything in the rooms has to be wiped down. But beyond that, the smoke that traveled through the building, we had to take down every ceiling tile in the whole building and replace those, because that's where a lot of the smoke smell will be retained. Then everything above the ceiling, all of the pipes, wires, conduit, and so forth, is also having to be cleaned. So it's a tremendous process that they're having to go through right now, and it's taking time. We also have some air machines in there that are starting to purify, clean the air, turn it over, because again, that's going to be a concern for us. We will not go back into that school until we know that it is clean air for staff and for your kids. So that's very important to us. You know, we say that everything worked well for us. Up above the ceiling, there are pipes that go from one section of the building to the other, and they puncture through that firewall. We are going to take the time at this point to close up some of those. We were not in violation of everything, but it's a good opportunity to keep smoke from ever going anyplace else around those pipes and so forth from an older building like this. So having said all of that, we do have a plan, and we have some fortunate things that are going to be in place for us because of Green Springs and our reconfiguration this year. As you know, the 6th graders are gone, so we have a little bit of space. But Dr. Trauber is going to talk to you about a plan that we are announcing that we are going to keep all classes except one at Green Springs, and we're very, very lucky to be able to do that. What that helps us do is obviously it's a neighborhood school. You know where your kids are going. We don't have to say these grades are taken to Briarwood and these are going to Bentwood and so forth. The only class right now that we're having to shift is a preschool class, and they're going to go to Briarwood Elementary. Preschool kids are bused into Green Springs. They'll just be on the bus and be delivered. There's another preschool class there at Briarwood. This class will return to Green Springs, so it's not like we're taking preschool away from Green Springs. It will return. But the plan you're going to hear from Dr. Trauber is because of some shifting we can do, and it's going to take a lot, we're going to have all classes stay at Green Springs. So again, food service is not interrupted and other activities and so forth, so we're really pleased with that. We are going to take some time to answer questions, and again, if there are questions for the whole group, if you have individual questions with so many people in the room and that we can help answer those, we will stay as long as we need to this morning to help answer some of those questions. I am going to ask your patience. Let me introduce one more group that I should have done at the very beginning, but you see a lot of people in their green shirts. But the faculty and staff at Green Springs, would you all stand for just a minute, please? As parents, you all have some ownership in where your kids go to school, and we certainly do as a school district. But to hear Thursday morning on the news that your school where you teach is burning is pretty unsettling. Staff has come together and they've been planning as well how we can get back and get going. And they've done a tremendous job. And so again, they need your support as we go through this. Because of the change, the plan that Dr. Trauber is going to share with you is going to take some classrooms that are currently being occupied in the good part of the building, and we're going to have to move those to different little places and move new classrooms in and set them up. We're asking your patience and understanding to know that we're going to open school Tuesday morning. We need Monday because we're not going to get occupancy of the building until after this weekend or at the end of the weekend. Again, it has to be safe for your kids to come back. The fire people are there. The fire marshal has been there. He has to inspect, and everything has to be working, and fire alarms working, and everything has to be safe for your kids and the staff to return. The city has been working very closely with us again about codes to make sure everything's back the way it should be. It's almost like a construction zone again that we're having to start over. But because of the way the building is built, we're going to be able to keep the south end completely shut off. We're going to construct, if we have to, some temporary walls that people won't even be able to get back there. And there's no danger whatsoever about that beam, even if it were to happen to fall, damaging any of the rest of the part of the school. But anyway, all those things have to be taken care of, and we get occupancy before we can start school. And then Monday, the staff is going to have to reconstruct Green Springs and set up everything. They will be good classrooms, and it's going to be just really good. So let me quit talking and turn it over to, again, the person who heard early Thursday morning from her husband, your school is on fire, from the news, and ever since then she's been planning and thinking about how we can get started. So here's Brenda.
Thank you. You can imagine I was in the shower at the time, and so, I was on high alert from that time on. I first of all would like to thank all the Green Springs parents and community for all the love and support that you've shown us over the past 2 days. Without your help, we couldn't move forward the way that we've moved forward and with such a positive attitude. So thank you, and to the fire department, the Olathe School District staff, policemen, everyone who's making this possible for us to move forward. Excuse my voice, I'm getting a bit of a respiratory problem. This started actually before the fire. But I know that our second and third grade parents are especially anxious to find out where their kids will be going. And as Dr. Berry said, I really want our kids to stay together. We are a family. We've always been a family at Green Springs, and that is so important. We'll have a few challenges with a little tightness. We'll be a snug family in our school, but with the exception of the preschool, we'll all be there at Green Springs. We are able to, with moving some other classrooms in our first grade wet area, to move in a third grade, which will be Mrs. Corb's classroom, and our two second grades, Mrs. Laws and Mrs. Keys, into that area. And I will be relocating the resource room in that area to another smaller room in the building on the north side. We will also be moving Mrs. Camrat's room into the fourth and fifth grade wet